following program on Derana 24 is classified for general audience. It is intended for all ages. It contains little or no violence, no strong language, and little or no sexual dialogue or situations. The following program contains opinions of the participants and does not reflect the views and beliefs of the Derana Media Network. The network believes in a safe space for all ideas to be expressed and on its duty to create such a platform for free speech. Viewer discretion is strictly advised. From Studio 24 in Colombo, for a real view, real opinion, and for an honest conversation, it's time to get real with Mahieash Johnney.
A very good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Get Real. Well, you might be wondering as to why we are coming on the air at this time of the day. Basically, it's because this particular subject I really wanted to discuss and try to get a reflection of what's going on. Where are we with regard to our national carrier SriLankan Airlines, where we know there have been consecutively for the past few months, there have been a lot of conversations occurring, and now there's a rat involved in this entire episode. So there's no one else that I need to speak to about this other than the person who's in charge of this entire ministry, and that is the Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation of Sri Lanka, Minister Nimal Siripala Silva. Welcome to the program. Good to see you.
Thank you for inviting me.
First time here. I hope it won't be the last. Minister, before we get into the whole fiasco of SriLankan Airlines, I want to ask about this particular subject because it's not getting that much of a notification in the public media. About shipping per se. Now we know there is a lot of conflict occurring in the Red Sea with the Houthi rebels, and the US is attacking in that area. What's happening to our ports? Is our ports actually no ships are coming to our ports anymore, or what's the story there?
Really, we are benefited out of the conflict going there in the Red Sea. More and more ships are coming into the Colombo harbour for transshipment of cargoes, and our earnings has gone up by about 36%, and ship arrivals also about 40 to 43% more than which was normally there. And our transshipment capacity earlier was about 8.5 million TEUs per year. Now I think we can increase it to about 10 million.
So these are new ships who are coming into our ports?
Yes.
So do we have the capacity to cater to them?
Yes, at the moment we have the capacity, but we are expanding. So therefore we are very hopeful in time to come, because our port will be a more efficient port than it was earlier, because earlier our port was a very traditional port. We were just using it for imports and export, etc. But in 1981 we started the transshipment of cargoes. So now that business has increased, and we have 2 terminals which are owned by the government and 2 terminals which are owned by the private sector together with the government. So that combination is working very well, and we have given another terminal to Adanis.
Yeah.
So they are also supposed to complete their terminal by 2025, and the eastern terminal which we own to be completed by the end of this year. And now already we have installed 3 new cranes there. Another 3 new cranes are coming in April, and the balance will come in December. Because it's a deep water terminal, and we can larger ships can berth there, so we have a great potential. So only thing is that our port has to be efficient,
exactly,
as well as technically sound, and we must go for automation.
In terms of, are we just talking about the Colombo port, or are we talking, many of our ports?
No, about the Colombo port.
So, in terms of, expanding that port now, if 2 terminals are going to come in, what is the full capacity that you are looking at?
No, we are expecting to get 1.5 million TEUs, 15 million TEUs. Now it is 8.5 million. So we want to double it.
And in dollar term, how much can the country actually benefit from?
About 200 million US dollars
per year.
Per year, yeah.
Okay, Minister, the Sri Lankan Airlines episode now, there's a rat involved. I don't know, it's an international rat or a local rat, but there is a rat involved, and consecutively we've been talking about Sri Lankan Airlines in a very negative tone because of but this is an iconic airline. It is one of the regional airlines that actually flies really high in terms of its quality, its service, and everything.
Especially the safety.
Safety, exactly. In a situation like that, what's the current reality of this airline? Are we looking at a lot of international aviation experts are saying this airline is going to go bankrupt very soon?
It is already bankrupt. But I must thank the chairman and the board of directors. They are somehow keeping the services going. So therefore there are a lot of pluses and minuses, and the service expected by the customers, they are not in a position to deliver, because it's you have to go into the problem of liquidity also, because now this airline is in debt to the tune of 1.2 billion US dollars. This is the accumulated debt. For sovereign bonds, and for the CPC, and to the banks, they are in debt, because we were running this airline at a loss. Only during the time when it was managed by the Emirates, we had a small profit, about 30 million rupees in one of those years, but otherwise it was...
So even during Emirates time it was running at a loss?
No, it was break even, but they had a profit. They had a profit. But thereafter, the COVID situation worsened the situation of the airline, because that affected not only Sri Lankan, but all the airlines in the world. The airline industry in the world was shattered by the COVID pandemic. So, we being a smaller airline, it was hit badly, and we had no way of recovering. But somehow we recovered to a certain extent thereafter, and then with the Aragala coming into the country, the tourist arrivals and
everything,
it went down. But we overcame that also, and thereafter now the tourists are coming in big numbers, because last month we had a recorded number of 200,000 tourists per month. So then of course our airport is congested, you have to admit, because we were planning to build the Terminal 2 building assisted by the Japanese funding.
That is also
But moment we declared ourselves bankrupt, the JICA representative came to me and told me, Honorable Minister, Japan won't give money to a bankrupt country. So we are withdrawing.
You sound like you disagree with the decision to declare that we were bankrupt.
Yeah, it's a fact, no?
It's a fact, exactly.
It's a fact. So we have to face the reality, right? But thanks to His Excellency Ranil Wickremesinghe, now the country being taken out of bankruptcy now. So we are at the last stage. So once the debt restructuring process is over, The Japanese government has assured me several times, even recently I met the Japanese finance minister who came here. Yeah. He said they will definitely revamp this project and they will make the loan effective. Then we can proceed with the Terminal 2 buildings. So that is the present scenario. But still, I have taken steps to put up a temporary terminal with a capacity of about another 38 counters at the cost of 6 billion rupees. We have just floated the tender and concluded it, and in the next week or so we are going to award the tender and complete that 38 additional counters in 9 months' time. So we have a contingency plan also. So once that is done, our airport will be able to handle and we will be able to ease the congestion which is there. But at the same time, the problem is 60% of the tourists coming into Sri Lanka, they are using SriLankan Airlines.
In a situation like that, as the minister in charge of that particular subject, how can you explain this entire scenario of the failure to basically delays of aircrafts to fly on schedule, and then there were issues, sanitary issues within the aircraft when there is a rat being found, and the stench and everything, that is very unpleasant to the entire country. It's a national issue, I would say. But in a situation like that, aren't we looking at the entire quality of this airline is just drastically dropping? So what kind of remedies has the government actually taken into? Because we recently saw you actually going to town in a briefing with one of the staff members and asking very tough questions there. But what kind of actions has been taken right now?
No, because you have to understand, the breakdown of this airline is due to several reasons. One is the large amount of debt we have. So whatever the money they earn, we have to pay the debt. We have to pay the interest. So
we don't have the luxury like the country not to pay.
Not to pay. So then the second thing is, in the airline trade, the people are shifting from one country to another. Because it is like the doctors are going, engineers are going, like that the pilots and the engineers, technicians, they have a great opportunity in other countries. There are salary structures and all that which we are unable to pay because we are an ailing economy. So we have to build up the economy and ensure that we will be in a position to pay them. So this is one aspect. And the second thing is the trade union action. Now, people talk so much about the national carrier, but when they go on trade union action, have they thought what is going to happen to the national carrier? So you remember that there was a flight which went to Melbourne, and we could not send that flight in time because one pilot fell sick. So I can't help it, nobody can help it. But there were about another 20 pilots waiting. But none of them want to take this airline saying, take this airplane to Melbourne, saying that that is their off day. So that amount of sacrifice, if you can't make, can we have 20, 30 pilots in a row?
Is that is that what happened during the recent delays as well?
No. Recent delays are due to the technical failures, because these aircraft that also have an international perception also. Many of the neon engines which were manufactured by some companies, they have a manufacturing fault.
Okay.
Even Indigo Airlines, 30 planes are being grounded due to that fact.
So these are engine problems?
Engine problem. In our case, we have about 7 engines, which has happened the same thing. So that is one scenario. Then the other thing is, since we have a cash flow problem and the liquidity problem, the airline has to make sure that they operate the airline also in order to earn cash, to pay for the ground handling, to pay for fuel, to pay the staff, but in the same time, there was a go slow campaign by the engineers and the technicians also some time ago. So all these things added to these delays. But of course, the recent delays are, because I am not an expert on engineering or aircraft maintenance, etc. So that's why I wanted the public to know. That's why I had a very open press conference. Otherwise, they might say the ministry is not talking the truth. So that's why I wanted the media to ask the people who are responsible. So they gave the explanation to say there was a rat from when this was flying from Pakistan. They found a rat. Passenger found a rat. Moment it was reported, the Airbus has warned you have to ground the aircraft and find where the rat is. Either kill the rat or take the rat or catch him and take him out. Otherwise, he can damage.
It's actually a threat to the flight.
To the flight. So it's a very unfortunate incident. So like that, like in life, certain unfortunate incidents also happens. So in the same time, our aircraft, we don't own any aircraft at the moment. All are on lease. So
I want to talk about that, Minister, but before that I want to take a small break. I want to talk about what's the future for this airline. We know a lot of investors, you said due to this incident there are investors backing off, but let's talk about at least the ones who are interested in taking over the airline. I'm in conversation with the Minister of Shipping, Ports and Aviation, Minister Nimal Siripala and Silva. You're watching Get Real. We'll be right back. Welcome back everyone to Get Real. Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Nimal Siripala Silva is here. We've been talking about what's with regard to our national carrier, SriLankan Airlines, and exactly the aviation industry per se. Minister, the SriLankan Airlines is up for grabs by any investor who wants to come in and take over. Before I get into the details of that, I want to understand now in 2000, I think in the year 2000, when it was taken over by Emirates, we all were in the UPFA government at that time, and one of the philosophy of taking over was, I think in 2005, was the fact that the national carrier should be owned by the people of Sri Lanka, not a foreign entity, and it has to be peopleized during that particular time. Has that particular notion changed? Because the government, the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramunu is still the government, and it is part of the SLFP as well in terms of looking at people who are operating. So what is the philosophy now? Has that changed, or what are we thinking? What's the thinking of the government in terms of this
philosophy with regard to the airlines has changed all over the world. Even Emirates and many other airlines in the world, they are not owned by the government. They are owned by the private entities. But here we have a problem. In Sri Lanka, we had got landing rights to London, Frankfurt, Melbourne, like that very important destinations. Those landing rights has been given to Sri Lanka, not to the Sri Lankan Airlines.
To the country.
To the country. So therefore we have a legal problem. If we divest more than 51% of the shares to a foreign company, they will not be entitled to fly to those destinations.
Okay.
So therefore, what can be divested to foreign party is only 49%.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the threshold. But if the foreign party was to come with another, suppose they find another Sri Lankan entrepreneur who will invest 10% or 15%. So they form a joint venture and they can get 60% or 70%. But anyway, in the process of privatization or the restructuring, we have clearly stated that we will be giving them the full power to manage. The
So management
will be with them.
So we are going back to the same model that was there when Emirates was here.
But Emirates, they got only 40%, no?
Yes. Now more than that.
Yes. Now more than they can go up to 49%. So the problem is here is whether there will be takers, whether there will be some.
Why do you say that, Minister? Why?
No, I'll tell you why. Because all the investors in this airline, the Emirates, they had a very bitter deal with Sri Lanka. So that's what they say. So it was given to them, and it was the manner in which it was taken back. So that has affected us. So that has affected the investors' confidence. So they are asking me, Minister, suppose if another government comes, will they take over the airline? So what is going to happen to our investments? So like that, because people who have the money, they have enough places to invest.
Sure.
Not only in Sri Lanka, not only buying shares in the SriLankan Airlines, but in the same time, SriLankan Airline is a unique airline.
Exactly.
We have an excellent record with regard to the safety. And our cabin crew is excellent, I must say. There may be some little complaints here and there, but we were doing very, very well. But our problem is the finances, because if you are to run a good airline, you need new aircraft, and you should have one or two more aircraft also on the ground whenever something happens, to rush to that place and take back the passengers. But we don't have that financial capacity. So this is what happened. Even Indian Airlines, what happened? It was owned by the government of India, but it was given to Tatas. Even a country like...
And now you all have put this to seek investors to come in. The bidding process is now currently underway, in the sense like...
really, I who carried the cabinet paper, I wanted to do it in a different way. I thought it fit.
How did you want to do it? We have catering service, which is running at a profit. We have ground handling, which is running at a profit. So my suggestion was, bifurcate this SriLankan Airlines into three parts. SriLankan Airline itself, ground handling to be managed by another company, and catering to be managed by another company. And sell certain shares of the two companies which are running at a profit, and get to $500 to $700 million by selling those things, and liquidate part of the debt which is there. That was my suggestion to the cabinet. The question that has been posed by a lot of people who are opposing that was the fact that why should we sell a profit-making entity? So why do you think we should do that?
No, profit, because all those things are owned by the Sri Lankan government. Sri Lankan government, treasury-owned company, right? So this is profit. But when you get the totality, I mean, you are running three core businesses, right? Two businesses, you are making some profit. Third business, you are running at a terrible loss. Yeah. So that will liquidate the profit which you have earned also. So that theory I don't agree. But when it went to the treasury, and when this debt restructuring and all these things came, so they thought it fit to get advice from the World Bank. So World Bank and IMF, they said there must be a very, very transparent procedure, which I agreed. And they appointed a transaction advisor.
Yeah, we know that.
Right? So I washed my hands and gave it to the transaction advisor, and the treasury also appointed Mr. Shah, a private sector entrepreneur. I said, right, okay, you deal. And
now what's the way it's happening now?
Now what's happening is, now we have called for bids. So 2 times we have extended the time because some people who came to bid for this airline had asked for furthermore time to do the KYC and get more details. And finally we have given time till 5th of March. On 5th of March, from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, the bids can come there. And
it's a live bid. A live bid.
And by 2 o'clock also the bid can be opened and evaluated. And there is a technical committee headed by the Secretary to the Prime Minister and Secretary of my ministry and another secretary. And there are technical team to assist them, and they will evaluate the bids. And they will come to the cabinet, and they will say that these are the bids we have got, and this is what we are going to do. So I hope and I pray that there will be some. So it is not just giving the airline. Because
there are lots of conversations about India being interested, lots of conversations about even Emirates might actually relook at this. What do you know about that?
Oh, because I, being a politician and a minister, I don't want to interfere or express my perceptions on this. But I want somebody strong to come who can invest some at least $500 million and ensure the 6,000 workers, people who are working in the airline, their jobs are safe. So that is my priority, right? So because otherwise, if you just give it to some person for the sake of giving, and if they ruin the airline, all these people will lose their jobs.
And that could happen, no, Minister, right now, because some new management might come and say, we don't need this.
No, we are not going to give the management like this. I have spelled out very clearly, whoever who is taking the management, that they should ensure that the people who are there, they have to retain them. If they want to retrench them, they have to pay very handsome compensation for that.
So that's a rule or a regulation, or just a request? Is it
No, that is a prerequisite. Okay. That's a prerequisite. So therefore, I hope some good party will come who can invest, who knows about the airline business, because every person working in some person has $1 billion somewhere. He can't just come and run the airline. So we are evaluating whether they are in a position to run the airline.
In terms of local investors, has any local investors put up their hand in order to see, we can actually take this?
Some local investors have shown interest, but they alone can't buy this because their financial capacity is not enough. So I have advised them, come with a good foreign investor, foreign airline, right? And so we would welcome.
You're not. This is not hell-bent on giving to a foreign company or a foreign entity.
No.
Even locals can.
Yes.
And the government would be interested.
Not only that, these trade unions, one of the trade unions of the Sri Lankan Airlines, they held a seminar also at the BMICH, you will remember, saying that they have enough investors.
Money, exactly.
They can bring all these investors. I said, very good, bring them. But up to now, they have not brought a single investor.
In terms of the airport, that is also a bigger factor. It's not just the airline, because once you land, you still need to have an experience. If you look at Singapore, if you look at even Delhi, it's a different experience. And people actually come to the airport as well in order to experience what the entire airport is like. What are the plans on that side for Colombo, for Mattala, even in Jaffna, all these airports that are coming up? What exactly is the government's
because as far as the BIA is concerned, that the Bandaranaike International Airport, that's the biggest airport in the country, and which has been in existence for a long time. And we have a very trained staff. But with the largest number of tourist arrivals, I told you before, that there is a congestion because we could not complete the Terminal 2, for which I have a solution. I mean, I can't just give the solution overnight, but by the end of this year, we will be catering to more and more tourists to be accommodated. And you would see, now the airport is better than it was. Anybody will say. I mean, so in the same time, if you take many airports in the world, now they are being managed by the private sector, not by the government entities. Because private sector, there is more efficiency in managing their businesses and airports. So that is what you say about if you take Singapore. It's not by the, if you take Indian airports, they are being managed by the Indian private sector. So there is a lot of enthusiasm as well as demand and request to pressurizing on us, why don't you engage private sector in managing these airports?
Like a joint venture.
A joint venture. So there are a lot of people come, Indians, Chinese, Singaporeans, many people come, but we have not yet made a decision whether we are going to hand over the management of the BIA. But Mattala, we were running at a loss. So we need a lot of capital injection into that. Put capital, and so then we call for expression of interest for somebody to take over this airport, bring more money, bring investments, bring more aircraft, bring more tourists and passengers, and we will be giving it for a period of 30 years. So open tender was called twice. First time it was a failure, but now 2 or 3 parties bid for that, and
are they local or foreign?
Foreign. So now my tender board and the evaluation committee, they are at the final stage. So I am hopeful that we will be able to give the management of the Mattala airport very soon to a private entrepreneur.
Who are the bidders, Minister, in those? From which country?
It's a combination from Russia and India.
So that entire Mattala airport and its management will be given, or is it still 49-51? The percentages.
No, we own the airport. It's only the management of the airport. They will manage. And there is a formula which we have suggested, so it is under negotiation now. So they will, now we are running at a 3 billion loss per year. So moment we give that, we save that money.
In terms of that particular airport, earlier there were conversations saying that airport is going to be developed as a budget airline airport in the region, or a regional hub for regional airlines. What is the thinking there? I mean, what is the philosophy there? What exactly does the government want to do?
No, that is what the private sector entrepreneur will have to do. So it will be mainly can be used for both Indian as well as Eastern European tourists and Russian tourists, because that area, there is a very popular tourist destination for those tourists. So that can be used. But in the same time, that airport can be used for parking, for dismantling the aircraft, and MROs. So there are a lot of allied industries that can be initiated.
Even training.
And the training.
Yeah.
Flying schools.
Exactly. There is a lot more to discuss with the Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Minister Nimal Siripala. This is by watching Get Real with Derana. Welcome back everyone to Get Real. I'm in conversation with the Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Minister Nimal Siripala. This is what we talked a lot about our national carrier, SriLankan Airlines, and its future and what exactly is going to happen. So by the 5th of March, we will get to know exactly who will take over. But as the Minister said, it's a live bidding, so we still don't know who will come and sit and bid for the national airline. So that itself is a question. Minister, we are running out of time, and this is a very short segment. I want to focus, since you are a very stalwart of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and also in politics in Sri Lanka from small days. I know you've been a politician. I want to ask you, this is an election year, and I want to talk a little bit about politics. You're sitting in the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, the SLFP. Where do your support goes to in the presidential election? Because the presidential election is due this year, for sure. And in a situation like that, we have heard Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe will be contesting this time around, and Mr. Sajith Premadasa will be recontesting, and there are other party members who will be contesting as well. Where does the SLFP hope to give their support to?
It is quite premature to decide on a candidate. But in selecting a candidate, there are certain criteria which you have to adopt. Because as far as the SLFP is concerned, we don't know whether the SLFP will feed a candidate. In my view, SLFP should not feed a candidate. Okay. Because our strength we have to build up in the parliamentary election, local government and the Palat Sabha, etc. So that is my view. So we don't know. At the time of the election, this has to be debated within the SLFP and come to a conclusion to whom we support. So now, like, there are a lot of mushroom candidates are coming up, no? Yeah. So we have to select among those people who could take the nation forward.
In your opinion, who? Who do you think?
So let's see who are the candidates are. So without knowing the candidates, we can't select, no? Yeah. So then, and people who had the guts to face the challenge. Up to now, only person who faced the challenge is Ranil Wickremesinghe. I was appointed by all the parliamentarians and committees, etc., to find, when Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa resigned, we want to find a prime minister.
This is back in 2022?
Yeah, right? So then we couldn't find. Everybody said they can't take the challenge.
Did you ask Mr. Sajith Premadasa?
Yes. I went and debated with him for 3 hours in the leader of the opposition office. You see?
What did he say?
He didn't take up. Right? So, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, without any fear, he took it, he took the post, he faced it, he got his house also burnt, his library also burnt. So, but with that, he won the confidence of 134 people in parliament and became the prime minister. And he saved the nation because all the MPs' houses were burnt. President, you know what happened to the president's house? And all these people, rioters, they came to burn the parliament. But they are, because Gotabaya Rajapaksa, his police, his army, his navy could not save him, no, right? They were defunct. But Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, he showed us strong leadership and saved parliament from all these rioters and terrorists.
Yeah. Minister, now the question, being in the media, the question, we've seen what the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, the UPFA, everybody has said about Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe when he was the leader of the opposition, the former Prime Minister, and now this particular views that are coming from your mouth is very surprising, because this is not what you all thought prior. Now, what changed? What was why are you telling this right now?
Why I am telling this right is because at that time we did not see these qualities with Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. His able leadership, his dedication towards the country, and how we solved all these problems with IMF and the international community. So like that, when somebody is small, in the childhood you don't see, but as he grows up, and he has demonstrated himself to be a leader worth and who will protect the country and who can take this country forward. Because I think he has no personal agendas also.
So does this mean the things that you all did in the past in terms of what the UPFA's policies were, the SLFPs, the SLPPs, have they been wrong, or what exactly is the thinking there?
No, they are not wrong, because policies changes with the time.
Okay.
You see, now in 1950s, when Mr. Bandaranaike said that Sinhala must be made the official language, the people in this country all supported that, because we were a suppressed community by our rulers in the past. So they need emancipation. So we didn't have English education in all over the rural schools. Only the English educated people ruled the country. So therefore, at that time, it was a very attractive slogan, and that was the need of the hour at that time. But now it is not so. We are open to the world, so we need to learn English, we need to interact with the international community. So we have to understand that there are no fixed policies as such. So what has happened now? Now you take China, right? You take Russia. Huh? Are they with their community? Only for the purpose of ruling they are there. But when it comes to the economic problems, they have changed a lot.
In terms of, you brought up earlier, we are saying the general election, where the Sri Lanka Freedom Party has to actually fight for better seats in that particular. Are you going to contest from the Sri Lanka?
Yeah, I hope to contest from Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
And in a situation, because you have, I think you from the get-go, you have been.
No, because I have been born and bred in the SLFP and with Madam Bandaranaike, and I have done so much for that party, and it's the SLFP who lifted me to this position. And I still believe SLFP is a party that can be relied on, but of course there are certain issues now in the party. I had to go to courts and then come and take my position, because I was sacked from the party arbitrarily. Mm-hmm. So which I fought in appeal courts, and I came back.
In a situation like, how can the SLFP rebuild itself and win the confidence of the people in a general election? Because when this accusation comes, especially when it comes from JVP, the NPP, they're saying that these guys also ruined it, these guys also ruined it, so give it to us. That's their slogan.
How can JVP say that JVP supported Mahinda Rajapaksa's government to come into power? Didn't they support?
Yeah, they did.
Then Chandrika's government, I who drafted the MOU between JVP and
UPFA.
And UPFA. And Anura Dissanayake was the Minister of Agriculture. So what has he done for the agriculture? Has he performed well? Has he shown that he's an able cabinet minister? What has he done?
But he hopes to lead the nation.
He hopes to lead the They're living in fool's paradise.
Minister, very quickly, what should the SLFP be doing this time around in order to win the confidence of the people?
That is what a lot of us we are discussing that, and SLFP somewhat divided. We want to bring all the parties together, to which our leadership also very much should be amenable, and I think even within the SLFP, people must be looking for new leadership also. So those changes has to come.
Because the reason I ask that is, isn't it better for you all to get together with the SLPP? Basically, it is also the SLFP. The SLFP is the mothership.
Now, the problem is this. People will not rely just on parties also. We must have a work program. So what are you going to deliver? How are you going to tackle? Now, for example, you say, now as it is, we can't move out of the IMF process. Even Sajith Premadasa says, he will abide. But he says, when I come to power, I will go and change it. The IMF and international organizations, they don't look at your face or the English you speak, therefore we are changing it. No, it will not happen. They have to, whoever who comes into power, they have to abide by these conditions and they have to align themselves with the IMF program. So therefore, the various things are, the promises which are given by Mr. Sajith Premadasa as well as Anura Dissanayaka, they cannot be implemented. They cannot be implemented with the IMF program which we have committed internationally.
That's a good point to end our conversation today. Thank you very much, Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Nimal Silva. Thank you for coming, sir. I appreciate it. And please do keep coming back to the program.
Sure.
Have a
pleasure to come, yes.
Well, that's all the time we have for you tonight. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back again with another episode just like that with a notable newsmaker here at home or from abroad. See you then. Bye for now.